a cheap holiday on other people's motorbikes. Not touch start. Preload set for 1. I'm on some gravel. Let's go gravel. Full fuel tank. That'll be interesting. 24 litres. Just go. Once more we approach Alton Park. Oh yes, I was here last week with Dr. J. But today I'm in a car and I'm all alone. Alton Park. That's your basic one. Not touch start. On the low seat. Got the seat in the low setting. Feels good. Hello. Anyway, good morning. Codge Biker here. Look at me on my Africa Twin Adventure Sport electronic suspension. So I'm changing the mode. Off-road. That hardens it up, softens it up, sorry. User 1, user 2. Tour, that hardens the suspension up. The throttle is a little bit on off by the feels of it, but with the seat in the low position I'd actually think I'll prefer it in the high position. I put it in the low position just because it's a new bike. Oh yeah, you can definitely feel the difference in the torque over the NT1100. Now that is, I think it's only 5, but you can definitely feel it. Pulls well, pulls lovely. So here I am in Little Budworth on a Honda Africa Twin Experience Day. As an NT1100 rider, it's interesting to see how it feels to ride the Africa Twin Adventure Sports. Now this is the Adventure Twin with the 19-inch front wheel, so 2 inches bigger than the NT1100, but 2 inches smaller than the off-road version. As a lot of people say, oh, you can't have an off-road bike with a 19-inch front wheel, but I think that's just bonkers. All your GS's, they don't go off-road, do they? Of course they do. So, and basically you can take any bike off-road. I know what they mean. They mean sort of hardcore off-road. Well, I wouldn't take a bike of £17,500 and a quarter of a ton on hard off-road riding. I just wouldn't, especially if I couldn't be absolutely certain of picking it up when it falls nose down on a hill. So, first impressions. Well, my arms feel slightly more relaxed than the NT1100. I've just fitted some bar risers to my NT. Just gone to user 2, which I hope it is a bit softer mode. Yeah, the throttle is a bit snatchy. Just put it into this mode and that feels a bit better. On my bike I tend to ride it a lot if I'm in town or whatever in rain mode, just because of that. I don't think it limits the power, it's just the power delivery. I've gone for the manual bike and there's a reason for that. Before I get a load of haters going, DCT is fantastic. Yes, DCT is fantastic. I don't have any issues with it, but it's just not for me. It's just, I prefer to have clutch control. I just do. And I do like the way on this that when I pull to a stop I can get my feet flat on the ground. Feels great. It feels like my NT1100. And finally, at last, Honda have seen the light, and all their Africa Twins, on-road or off-road, 21-inch or 19-inch, every single one of them has got, wait for it, tubeless wheels. Hooray! It's the Rozzers. So that's a good thing. Just go into fourth gear, set my cruise control. There we go. It's very easy, very intuitive. Something that I've used a lot on my own bike, so I'm used to it. You can click up the speed, and you could, with cruise control on, adjust the screen. I'm not going to, because I've got the guide behind me keeping an eye on me. So yeah, the screen's adjustable to 5 positions. I've got it sort of down at the moment because it's a very hot day and it's nice but a bit blustery. Obviously if I lifted it up, I think for my height, particularly on the low seat, it would be great. Now, back on the old days when I had my original Africa Twin, not original, but when I bought my 2017 one, it had a non-adjustable screen. I fitted a kit video above, and this reminds me of that. If you push it up, it sort of leaves a hole underneath, but it's so much better than the old bike. Of course, it's unfortunate that you've got to use both hands. I can't reach across and do it unless I put it on cruise control, then I can, which, you know, you shouldn't really do, but just for your sake. So that's unfortunate that that's the way the screen is, but at least it is adjustable. Now let's face it, I don't tend to change my screen very much from day to day. So what is this bike? Well, like all bikes, you can go off-road, and obviously the limitations to going off-road is ground clearance, suspension, and the most important of all, riderability. Now, I don't meet many people, and I'm sure you don't, and I'm certainly not one of them either, who's got the ability to take one of these bikes on serious off-road. So as I was saying earlier, the 19-inch front wheel doesn't bother me in the slightest. In fact, I quite like it. It makes it more road biased, but let's face it, this is a 90% touring bike. But you could, you know, I have no qualms in going down gravel roads, fire roads I think they're called in America, Lincolnshire chalk roads, anything flat. But if it came to boulder strewn Welsh mountains, it wouldn't be for me. I'll leave that to Bike World. The other thing people criticise this bike for, which I think is totally wrong, is they say it lacks power because it's got 100 brake horsepower more or less. Well, I think that's silly. That's the equivalent in a car. If you think of 4 people, 100 brake horsepower each, 400 horsepower car, you'd think, well, it does pull, and you can definitely feel the difference between my NT1100 and this Africa Twin. It really does pull. So yeah, you can definitely tell that difference. If it's only the tweaks to the torque, it is noticeable to me as an NT1100 rider. Mine has 104, 105 newton meters of torque. This has 112. Now, to be clear, I'm your average size rider. I'm about 75 kilograms in my gear today, so it shouldn't have any problem lugging me around, should it? And it certainly doesn't. So I'm changing modes. I'm starting to feel if I can see any difference in the suspension. Apparently it changes as you change modes. depending on which mode you're in here. I think I can't actually feel it, but I'm going to put it into tour mode now, or tour mode suspension, because we're on the road. As I say, I see this bike as a touring bike with 10% off-road, and let's face it, that's more off-road than most of us ever do. Where I live, it's actually difficult to get off-road riding. You have to ride miles just to get some. You have to go to Wales really, and this is a good bike for going down the motorway, but I wouldn't, as I say, I wouldn't take this on those kind of roads anyway. So right, so let's just talk about comfort. Now, I put this seat in the lowest setting, and I feel a little bit like that was a mistake, because I'm not just flat-footed, I can bend my knees, and I'm 5'9", 5'10" in my boots. Because the suspension sits down when you get on it, I really don't think I would have had any problem in riding it with this seat in its so-called high position, which is 855mm. Now, the fuel tank says that it's full. Now, it holds 25 litres more or less, or 24, 25 litres, 5 gallons. And when I'm riding it, I can't tell. I think that, to be honest, might be something to do with having that 19-inch front wheel. Because when I had my ordinary Africa Twin DCT with the full tank, I used to notice that quite a lot, particularly at slow speeds. Felt very top heavy. I'm sure this is top heavy because it's massive, but if it genuinely is full, which it says it is, then it does feel very balanced. I mean, obviously I'm not living with this day to day. I was talking to a guy earlier who has to deliver these, and he said it's hard work getting them in and out of the van and he's bigger than me. So I think, you know, realistically, all of these big bikes, you've got to work a bit to move them around, and once they're moving, yeah, the weight disappears. So what do you get for your £5,000 more than my NT1100? Well, you get that. It's a bit more of a kick. I'm in 4th gear cruising along, open the throttle and it just goes. It's not wild, but it is slightly improved, no doubt about it, on my NT1100 engine, which is also an Africa Twin engine, but the previous generation. You get probably bigger handlebars. Standing up feels great, perfect for me, although I'll probably still maybe need some bar risers. No, I think it'd be okay. It's not bad. Rear brake. There's a bike behind me, so I'll try the rear brake in a minute. Yeah, it's about the same as the NT1100 IE, not brilliant. Front brake's very good. Don't know how many miles. Oh, it's just done 922 miles. If it's been havoc these days, it's probably broken in then. So yeah, it's more of a brake for steering the bike, I'd say. In terms of comfort, as I say, I wish I'd left the seat up, because it feels very much like the NT1100, which I sometimes feel my knees are too high. So I think, given that it squats down and I've got my big boots on, I would probably be quite happy to ride this about in its high seats then, which, let's face it, it's not the highest, 855mm, but it is high. So you sit on it and it goes down. Have I felt intimidated by this bike in the slightest? Not at all. It feels very friendly. I love the power delivery. Not so keen on the snatchy throttle, that's the only thing I would say. I like the fact you can tune the suspension in various preset ways, but also in user mode you can really tune it if you wanted to. But is it worth 5,000 more than an NT1100? Well, the first thing it's got going for it, I say, is that suspension, which is, I do like. I always have concerns that that's something that would break further down the line. I'm not can't think of the word, people who smashed up machines. I'm not one of them. But also, is it something I would need? No. But if I'd got a pillion where you can just press a button, look there, and you go to pillion and then luggage on the dash, and it adjusts for you, I think, yeah, you might think it worthwhile. Very flickable. We're not going off-road, but they've got a bit of gnarly concrete here, gnarly tarmac, and it's very well balanced. You can almost do footless stops. And in my mirror I can see those lovely twin headlights of the bike behind. Quick shifter. Feels good. You've got to have a quick shifter, haven't you, if you haven't got DCT, I always say. Plenty of power for going past. Lovely. Over the bridge, stand up, have a look. Over the canal. Yeah, just standing up, very nice. Just get some air through my jacket. It's a hot day. Whoa, wants to wheelie. Oh, it does have wheelie control, by the way, and it didn't really feel like it was going to wheelie, but it did go quite light on the front end. Car dispatched. Oh, lovely quick shifter. Oh, I like this bike. Corner in? Yeah, you feel much better going around the corner on this than the 21-inch wheeled Africa Twin. When you're getting a crack on. Very nice indeed. Like my NT1100, you can only use cruise control in 4th, 5th and 6th. Settle down now, so I'm going to go back to my user 2 mode. That just softens the throttle off. I don't know how that's set up fully, but somebody's obviously turned the engine brake and the power down, the power delivery, and you can feel that. It's like rainbowed. It's not the loudest bike in the world, but it's quite nice. Well, I'm looking at the bike behind me and I can see those lovely twin headlights, and I can also see the LEDs flicking, so it's got quite a presence at the front. Basically, I would want one of these just for the way it looks, I'll be honest, and there's no shame in that. I think it's a bit perkier than the NT1100. You feel more special than on the NT1100, and I'm not doing my NT1100 down, I love it. I like the suspension, the fact that you can adjust it, but to be honest, the one thing I like the best is that white bike with the twin headlights at the front. I don't know what it is about twin headlights, particularly if they both light up. Alright, they're only daytime running lights now, but they are just sexy. And the two industries that make the most money on the planet are sex and hate. So, give me the sexy every time. We've got self-cancelling indicators, we've got hazards. Very comfortable ride. And stop. Lovely. Oh, give me a clutch every day. Now, I'm in the soft, look, okay, really bouncy. I can feel that. Put it into tour. And yeah, definitely feel it's firmed up. It's actually a very friendly bike, I think. Oh, yeah. It's lovely. I do like it, and that's an ominous thing. Go back through my videos and see the test rides that I've had, and then a year later what I'm riding. Now, I did say years ago I'd never have another Africa Twin. Why was that? Well, because when I bought the Africa Twin, I'd seen all the videos about riding off-road and charging across deserts and leaping over tall buildings and all the rest of it. But the reality when I got it, in my naivety, and it was a DCT, so it was even heavier than the standard one, quarter of a ton, there was no way I was going off-road on that thing. So the reason I got it, which was to ride off-road, and I really did want to do some off-road riding, was I just hadn't have the nerve for it. So as you might know, I got a 690 Enduro R, and that was much better for proper off-road riding, where you've got boulders, rocks, mountains, British off-road riding anyway. But I have sated on that. I've decided that from now on I'm riding only on road, apart from if I go to Lincolnshire I'll ride the gravel roads and things, which this would be perfect for. That's a beautiful bike, and also, you know, you've got a 300-mile range, which tells you everything you need to know about it being a touring bike. You see above, I'll put a link to my Bluetooth connection for my NT1100, which is exactly the same thing you could do on this. It's easy to install on this. You just have to have a cable in the USB socket all the time, and a dongle. There's some very cheap ones. Right, holds a corner well. I'm leaned over here. Bit Marquez. Blast out the bends. Nice. Got a lot of confidence in that 19-inch front wheel. Reminds me of the CB500X, which was a bike I used to love throwing into corners and I trusted, and this is the same. I think on a 21-inch wheel I'd be a little bit more cagey on that. So, question is then, given the similarities to the NT1100 that I already own, are the extras the suspension, the 19-inch front wheel, that beautiful stance that I could see in that mirror, if you can see it, the twin headlights, is it worth it? Well, it's like anything else, it depends, doesn't it? In the art world, you've got two paintings, one next to another, and one's worth 5 million and one's worth 50 pence. What I would say about the Africa Twin, if you like the style, which I love, and you like those twin headlights, which I love, and you like the electronic suspension, which I think is brilliant, and the answer is, as they used to say on Hong Kong Phooey, could be. I think it's worth it. Such a beautiful bike. Feather in the clutch. Ah, yeah, give me a clutch every time. Feels like a clutch too much. Yeah, there's just no DCT that could ride like me. Just isn't. Yeah, you see a bouncy road. Let's go to soft. Oh, that's so good. Back to a normal road. Harden it up again. That's what she said. You can feel that on that sort of washboard surface. But I went from hard to soft, just using the preset user modes rather than, you know, going into any menus or anything. Just a touch of the button. I think these buttons are complicated. I know a lot of people will complain about that, but once you get used to them, things like that are very useful. Touch the button and I go down into the user mode with the soft suspension setting. Once I was through the washboard, back to tour. That's lovely. Especially, I would imagine, if you've got the Chalfonts. Oh, bouncy and rural. Soften everything up, soften the throttle, one touch the button, soft suspension. It's lovely, you can feel it as well. Oh, I do like that. Which, as I say, just a touch of the button. So, I've got soft suspension, I've got soft throttle mapping, soft power, soft engine braking. In that mode, I'm going to press the up button, go back to tour, things firm up, and once we go a bit faster, happy days, lovely. See if my indicators go off. Pretty sure they're automatic. Yep. Very well balanced bike. I mean, that was quite nadgery and gnarly, but I didn't feel anything at all there in terms of lack of control. Felt perfectly in control at all times. Yeah, it's a very lively bike. I mean, you know, 100 horsepower, yes please, perfect. It's a sweet spot for me, that. These roads are very tight, but I don't feel totally confident at all times on it. And so we return. Thank you, Honda. That was an excellent session. I really enjoyed that. And I'd really like this bike. How much is a kidney these days? I wonder. So on that note, with lots of sporty cars doing burnouts and drifters, the drifters, not the band, the cars. Codge Biker is out. Drifting, drifting, everybody to him pray. Drifting, drifting, yeah, drifting the day away. Maybe it'll do a spin. Will I be getting one? Well, only she who must be obeyed knows the answer to that one. And that lovely ride, those wonderful thoughts. Lovely she who must be obeyed thoughts. Creep. Codge Biker is out having a wonderful time on the Honda Africa Twin Adventure Sports, electronic suspension, manual. Cheers.